I look at myself as, I mean, I'm just obsessed with music. So of course I listen to it, but I think about it. And I mean, I like all the different aspects of music. I like the aspect of dealing with all the different cultures of musicians and how they talk and how they think about their lives and how they see themselves in terms of the society and how they see themselves in the course of history. And I enjoy all those things. I like the very, very specific things that each instrumentalist can tell you about their instrument, and talking to older musicians about what their life was like and how they studied, and talking to younger musicians to see what they like. It's really an endless thing. I mean, it's been a part of my human condition, I would say, since I was about 11 or 12 years old, when I realized that you could, as I said with Bernard, you know, that you just can pour all these things into it. And that there's, when I think back about all the different personalities of musicians that I've worked with and talked to and dealt with, and the sort of the humor that goes on among musicians, and, you know, the point of view of being a musician is something that it's very, I love that. I don't even know why really, but there's a certain outsider quality to being a musician where you realize that you're doing something that is very specific, that, you know, as I said before, it's part of a lot of different parts of society, and as a musician you get to see a lot of different parts of society because you're functioning, you have a function in that, and so you try to fulfill that function. But I would never look at myself as a functionary even when I was playing weddings. You know, I could say, of course, you know, 6,000 years ago in Persia, there were wedding musicians talking about having to play and hoping they get paid and all that stuff. But it's also that, of course, any wedding would have to have music, because if it's going to be a happy occasion, it has to have that. But also to express profound grief. What do people use? Music. It's just something that is in almost every aspect of life. And so when you start to think about that, and what your role can be in that, it gives you a role that's very specific, but at the same time, you're not a part of the day-to-day life that a lot of other people live. And I guess a lot of people might almost envy that, because you're detached from that life, and yet you're involved in some very intimate aspects of people's lives. It's not just performing for them and having them listen to you. Even when they're not really listening to you, you could say that there's a certain aspect of music that you're delivering something, and you're functioning in a role. But I think also when you get a chance to do it, there's nothing, I mean, personally, that's more expressive than that. I mean, words are great, and I think that when you meet other artists that are dancers and poets, you know, you realize they have the same relationship to their craft that we as musicians have to ours, that it's our world, but it's also something that's constantly changing and developing. It has a tradition, but the tradition can also be one of innovation. You don't have to be stuck with the tradition. It's something that you can just pull from and inspire you. So in that sense, it's endlessly rich.